Hello students, how are you? Today again we'll start history in social science of class 7th. In the previous video we started chapter 2 of history, new kings and kingdoms. Today we'll start part 2 of this chapter. Watch this video completely till the end so that you will be able to understand all the topics clearly. First of all, we'll discuss about warfare for wealth. Students, you may have noticed that each of these ruling dynasties was based in a specific region. At the same time, they tried to control other areas. One particularly prized area was the city of Kannauj in the Ganga Valley. This area was also shown in the map made by Al-Idrisi. For centuries, rulers belonging to the Gurjara Pratihara, Rashtrakuta and Pala dynasties fought for control over Kannauj. Because there were three parties in this long-drawn conflict, historians often describe it as tripartite struggle. At that time, rulers also tried to demonstrate their power and resources by building large temples, as you can see in the picture. So when they attacked one another's kingdoms, they often chose to target temples, which were sometimes extremely rich. You will read more about this in chapter 5 of your book. One of the best known of such rulers is Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni from Afghanistan. He ruled from 997 to 1030 AD and extended control over parts of Central Asia, Iran, and the northwestern part of the subcontinent. He raided the subcontinent almost every year. His targets were wealthy temples, including that of Somnath, Gujarat. Much of the wealth Mahmud carried away was used to create a splendid capital city at Ghazni. Sultan Mahmud was also interested in finding out more about the people he conquered and gave the work to a scholar named Al-Biruni to write an account of the subcontinent. So Al-Biruni wrote a book in Arabic language named Kitab ul-Hind. It has remained an important source for historians. He consulted Sanskrit scholars to prepare this account. Other kings who engaged in warfare included the Chahmans, later known as Chauhans, who ruled over the region around Delhi and Ajmer. They attempted to expand their control to the west and the east, where they were opposed by the Chalukyas of Gujarat and the Gadwals of western Uttar Pradesh. Some of the famous Chauhan rulers were Prithviraj, Hamirdev, Chanda Mahasena, Isuka, etc. The most famous Chauhan ruler was Prithviraj III, who ruled from 1168 to 1192 AD. Prithviraj Chauhan defeated an Afghan ruler named Sultan Muhammad Ghori in 1191 AD in the first battle of Tarain. The second battle of Tarain was fought in 1192 AD. But in this battle, Afghan ruler Sultan Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj III. You can see in the map the Chola kingdom and its neighbors. Its expansion was in the southern India. Its area was in modern states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, southern Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and some parts of Odisha. Chola's neighboring states were Kalinga, Chalukyas, etc. The main cities under the Chola's kingdoms were Madurai, Urayur, Tanjore, Kanchi, etc. A minor chiefly family known as the Muttaraiyar were subordinate to the Pallava kings of Kanchipuram. Muttaraiyar held power in the Kaveri Delta region. You can see in the map the expansion of Muttaraiyar kingdom. Vijayalaya, who belonged to the ancient chiefly family of the Cholas from Urayur, captured the delta from the Muttaraiyar in the middle of the 9th century. He built the town of Tanjore and a temple for goddess Nishumba Sudini. See this picture of Nishumba Sudini temple in Tanjore. This temple was made by Chola king Vijayalaya. The successors of Vijayalaya conquered neighboring regions and the kingdom grew in size and power. The Pandyan and the Pallava territories to the south and north were made part of this kingdom. In this way, they increased their power. See the pictures of Rajaraja I and Rajendra I. Rajendra I was the son of Rajaraja I. Rajaraja I, considered the most powerful Chola ruler, became king in 985 AD and expanded control over most of these areas. He also recognized the administration of the empire. Rajaraja's son, Rajendra I, continued his policies and even raided the Ganga Valley, Sri Lanka, and countries of Southeast Asia, developing a navy for these expeditions. Chola temples often became the nuclei of settlements which grew around them. These were centers of craft production. Temples were also endowed with land by rulers as well as by others. See the temple at Gangaikonda Cholapuram. Notice the way in which the roof tapers. Also look at the elaborate stone sculptures used to decorate the outer walls. The produce of this land went into maintaining all the specialists who worked at the temple and very often lived near it: priests, garland makers, cooks, sweepers, musicians, dancers, etc. In other words, temples were not only places of worship, they were the hub of economic, social, and cultural life as well. Amongst the crafts associated with temples, the making of bronze images was the most distinctive. Chola bronze images are considered amongst the finest in the world. While most images were of deities, sometimes images were made of devotees as well. Look this picture. So dear students, I hope that you understood all the topics we discussed in this video. Watch this video again and note down the main points in your notebook. In the next video, we will discuss about agriculture and irrigation and administration of these empires. Thank you. Have a nice day.